Harewood House, like its illustrious tenants, has had a varied career. During the Second World War, while the house was turned into a military convalescent home, the young George Lassells prepared to fight for king, or in his case, uncle and country.
It was incredibly hard work, physically hard work. You drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled morning to night, more or less. And that is very hard work, very hard physical exercise, even though most of it seems to be at a walk. And we were very hungry.
In 1943, George Lassells was commissioned into his father's regiment, the Grenadier Guards. Sent first to North Africa and then to Italy, he wasn't always the most efficient soldier.
I remember setting a donkey on fire on one of those things. We were supposed to fire smoke to disguise our assault on a village. And everybody had been warned before to take all the animals in. Well, somebody hadn't. And one of my smoke bombs landed on top of a donkey, which didn't seem to mind an awful lot, but I did. I thought it was very disagreeable. The donkey was on fire. Not much. Smouldering slightly, and we managed to put it out.
Even the war couldn't keep George Lassells from his fast-developing passion for opera.
You do need to be relieved after a couple of weeks. And we went back to our village, and there we would probably spend very probably another 2 weeks. And in that time, one could quite often get into Naples, which was quite close, certainly within 20 miles. And we went in, I think by jeep we were allowed off in turn, and I always went to the opera. I think they were always matinees in those days, I forget.
On June the 18th, 1944, Captain Lassells found himself on the wrong side of the German lines.
Somebody said rather loudly, "Halt, wer da?" which sounded a bit German to us. We got there too far, so I hurled I'd never hurled a hand grenade before, but I knew how to, and I hurled this hand grenade. Most things that happen have a comic side, and it landed, as I realized when it went off, in what must have been a rubbish dump, because a great many sort of tins and things came flying out in our direction. I don't know whether it did any harm to the Germans who said, "Halt, wer da?" And the engineer and I rushed over the road because we thought it was safer on the other side, and I was shot. And then I realized quite quickly that I hadn't been killed and wasn't going to die. I didn't feel like dying. And I'd been shot within half an inch of my heart. The bullet went in, and it came out through my hip. And since then, unkind people have said, "Well, what a funny angle you must have been at." And I said, "It's perfectly simple. I was presenting as small a target as possible to the enemy."
Being wounded on June the 18th was the continuation of a bizarre family tradition.
My great-great-grandfather, at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, was wounded on this June the 18th. Exactly 100 years later, on June the 18th, 1915, my father was wounded in the First War. I think that was the first time he was wounded. He was wounded several times. And on the 18th of June, 1944, I was wounded. Really very odd indeed. I wonder how it would have gone down if, when I was told I was to go out on a patrol, it was rather late at night. I wonder what the commanding officer would have said. I said, "I'm terribly sorry, sir. I don't think I can manage it today. It's rather a fateful day for my family." Would it have gone down well? I doubt it.
Viscount Lassells spent the winter of 1944 in the notorious prisoner of war camp at Colditz Castle. Here he realized he'd attracted the attention of Hitler.
I was there because they decided, at that juncture of the war, goodness knows why, I still don't know why, to bring together several prisoners of war who had connections. I was the King's nephew, the Queen's nephew, I mean, the Queen Mother eventually, but the Queen's nephew was there, a cousin of Winston Churchill's, and we were all there because we had relations, not because we'd done anything or any reason like that, which was very curious. We were called prominentes, prominent people.
The situation ceased to be funny or curious when the prominenti learned that Hitler had ordered their captor, General Berger, to shoot them.
He'd asked about the prominente, and Hitler had said, "Oh, shoot the lot of them." I don't know why there shouldn't be some misery in English families. There's quite enough in German families. And he had this order typed out and signed it. And Berger decided not to obey it, and he had us moved and then had us let out. And we were therefore very lucky.
Bye.